All you have to do is look at the unbelievable popularity of websites like YouTube, as well as the standard features now in digital cameras and cell phones that allow us to capture video, to realize that our presentations, if they haven't done so yet, now almost require us to use video, especially for certain purposes. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, and I think you'll probably agree, that not everybody who is sharing videos online and in other ways should be necessarily sharing their video. But that's a different discussion. What I know is that in 2007, there were 1.2 exabytes, that's a billion bytes of data, that were taken as video from mobile devices like cell phones. That's a tremendous amount, and that was 2007, which in technology years is a long time ago. Well, we've been able to insert video for a while in PowerPoint, but there were issues. Well, okay, a few issues. All right, maybe a lot of issues. These things range from simple lack of features to the technology that wouldn't allow us to support such large files, much less move them around and present them. In PowerPoint 2010, Microsoft has given us the director's chair, though, and it's allowing us to work with video, and I mean much more than just inserting it and telling it when to play, all from within the familiar PowerPoint interface. So if you've been waiting for this feature, your time has come. If you've never considered video in presentations before, then I think you'll be amazed at how easy it is. In short, if you can work with images in PowerPoint, you can actually work with video. Let's take a look and see how that might work. I've come to slide 14 in my presentation. It's called Training Delivery Methods, and it talks about computer-based training, one-on-one desk-side training, live internet training or virtual training, as well as instructor-led or traditional classroom. If I move to the next slide, I have some images here that talk about basically how you would meet with these people. You'd meet one-on-one if you were working with a classroom or desk-side assistants, and you'd have a couple of different ways to log on for virtual training or a CBT. The last slide in the presentation has a space to show a sample of CBT for the clients who maybe haven't ever seen it before. We want to give them a little bit of a taste. And this is where I want to insert my video. I'm going to insert a video. It's a little clip from the Windows 7 series that I did for Total Training. And I'll show you how easy it is not only to insert it, but to control how it looks, how it works, and then of course how it plays. So if you were thinking about how to insert a picture, just a regular old picture into PowerPoint, what would you do? Well, you'd probably come up to Insert, and you choose one of the insert options. Video is no different. If I move over to the right side of the ribbon, there's a media group, including one for video. Before we go any further, I did want to mention that if any of these video options are grayed out for you, it may be because of hardware restrictions. There are a lot of variables on your computer system that we simply can't account for that may cause some of these features to not be available. If they aren't, of course, they will be grayed out like any other feature that's not appropriate. It also can be, especially for video, that you don't have the correct drivers loaded if you're not able to play or able to insert a specific type of file. So I just wanted you to know and be aware of these things because sometimes those are variables that we can't account for while we're providing this training. Now, I'm not actually going to do this, but I want to show you that one of your options is to include video from a website. Let me give this a click for just a second. This is where you could paste the URL for embedded video. For example, when you go to a lot of sites, like YouTube, there's a link on the right-hand side that'll say, copy this to embed this video into your website. You'd copy that URL, paste it in here, and then you would be able to access that, even though you technically don't have access to the content itself. I'm going to go ahead and click Cancel, and we're going to do the other option, which is to go back to video and actually add video from one of our own files on our desktop or on our network. From the Chapter 6 folder, I can see my little video clip here. I'm going to double click on it. It's probably going to take it a few seconds to process depending on how big and large the video file is. So we'll just wait. The video appears, and I'll just let you know that this was actually recorded using high def, so it's fairly high resolution or large size. We need to start to work with this, but one of the things that you don't have to worry about anymore is that by default, video is embedded into the file. It's not linked like it used to be. So you shouldn't ever have those issues of working with it on your computer, taking it somewhere else, and all of a sudden your video files aren't accessible. Well, the first thing I obviously need to do is resize this, so I can do that. Remember when I promised it was just like a picture? I can resize it and move it and all of those types of things by simply using the sizing handles and the regular tools. But I want you to also notice that when I have video selected, I now get a whole set of contextual tabs for format and playback in my ribbon. We're going to work through both of these tabs. I'm not going to take you through every one of these features because many of them are very similar to working with regular still images, but also because that gives you something to practice with, and we just don't want to go through everything. But I do want to show you some samples. For example, I don't like my video to just be in a rectangle that it looks like it was inserted, so I can actually add shapes to my video just like I can add shapes to pictures. Now, if I wanted to get carried away, I could do something like put my video in the shape of a heart. That might be something I would do for a wedding video or a birthday or something like that. I think I will keep mine a little bit more professional and just apply the rounded rectangle. Likewise, I can also work with the border. Now, sometimes borders look good and sometimes they don't look quite so good, but I could say I would like to have a black border. And just to make it so we can see it fairly easily here, I'm going to go ahead and put in a 1.5 point on that as well. Lastly, of course, we can work with video effects, just like picture effects. And again, I could get very carried away, but I can do things like shadows, reflections, glows. Maybe I'll just put on a simple shadow here. And I'll use an offset diagonal bottom right. All of these things are going to be subtle, but they're going to make it look so the video isn't just sitting on there in kind of 2 dimensions. If you don't like working with all of these individual features, we could even add a video style. For example, it would add 3D rotation and beveled edges and a shadow and all of that all at once. But I just wanted to show you a couple examples of how we can use this. Now I actually need to get to work with the way this video is actually looking in my presentation. Because this is raw video, it's not anything that's been edited, it hasn't been touched up, and there are certainly some things in here that I would like to fix or at least to optimize before I use it in a finished presentation. Just like a regular still image, I can crop out what people are seeing in my video. In this case, it's rectangular, which is normally the aspect ratio that we see. But in doing that, I have a lot of space on the left that doesn't have anything to do with me or my presentation, and I also can see the microphone. So I'm going to simply use the cropping tool from the right side of the ribbon. And just like cropping a picture, I can drag in and I can crop out the parts that I don't want. I'll do a little bit from the right, and then a little bit from the left as well. So now you can turn your video into any shape that you want. When I'm finished, I can just go back and turn the cropping tool off. Now we have the problem of this picture, which is my eyes are actually closed. This is not what I want people to see as their first impression of me giving a presentation on Windows 7. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this. What I need to do is I actually need to use the little controls that are at the bottom. And I'm going to use the arrows to kind of just move forward until I find a part of the video that I like. Maybe something like that. Probably not the best shot that we have, but it'll work for now. Now, how do I save that as what people are going to see before the video even plays? Well, from the left-hand side of the ribbon, on our contextual tab for video formatting, we have something called the poster frame. From here, we can do a couple of things. We can choose to use the current frame, which is what I'm going to do, or we could also insert an actual image. So if I had a headshot or maybe some text or something that I had captured as an image or my logo, I could use that as well. I'm just going to select current frame. Now we'll have a better image to start with before the video actually starts to play, especially if this is going to stay up on screen maybe while I introduce the topic or something like that. The first frame doesn't necessarily have to be the poster frame. In order to make this look really good as far as the video itself, don't forget that we also have sets of corrections and color corrections that we can do, just like on a regular picture. So brightness and contrast, even the warmth and color saturations, can all be modified even for video clips right from within PowerPoint, using very simple, intuitive controls. You'd probably want to make any of these types of corrections, as well as fix any layout issues to make the slides look exactly the way you want, like centering the video on the slide, for example. Those aren't new features, so we aren't going to do them now. But do you see? I promised you it was easy, and just like working with a picture. All of those tools that we've worked with are right here on the Video Tools Formatting Contextual tab, and we've pretty much been through all of them. So now we know that it's formatted, at least from the starting point, to look a little bit better, a little bit sharper, and a little bit more polished than it was when we first brought in the raw clip.